My dad gave my brother my childhood home. He has 3 kids. You only have 1 inch. I'd been paying the property taxes for 15 years, $127,000 total. They had no idea. I didn't argue, just stopped paying. When the county tax lien hit and my brother got the notice, pay $127,000 in 90 days or lose the house. The first time my brother said my house out loud, he was holding a beer on the porch I grew up on. It was Saturday, 4:18 p.m., late August, humid enough that my shirt stuck to my back the second I got out of my car. My son Eli was 7, sitting cross-legged on the front steps with a sticky popsicle, quietly watching the adults like he was taking notes. Dad stood by the storm door with that proud, tight smile he gets when he thinks he's being generous. My brother Mark was already in the driveway with his kids. 3 of them, loud running barefoot. My kid stayed next to me, shoulder pressed into my hip. Dad clapped his hands once like calling a meeting. "All right," Dad said. "We're doing this now." Mom wasn't there. She didn't want drama, which in our family means she wanted the benefits without the sounds. Mark grinned. "What's up?" Dad pointed at the house behind him. The yellow siding. The ugly concrete bird bath, the same dent in the mailbox from when I was 16 and Dad backed into it. "You know this place has been in my name since your mother and I bought it," Dad said. "Taxes, paperwork, all that." Mark nodded. "Yeah." Dad looked at me like I was supposed to smile. "I'm transferring it," Dad said, "to Mark." My mouth went dry so fast it felt like I'd swallowed cotton. Mark blinked, then laughed. "Wait, seriously?" "Yep," Dad said. "You've got a family. You need stability." I heard myself say it calm and stupidly polite. "Dad, I thought you said this was going to me. You said that 15 years ago." Dad's eyes narrowed like I'd broken a rule by remembering. Mark glanced at me, still smiling like this was a raffle and he'd won a cooler. Dad tilted his head. "Mark has 3 kids," he said. "You only have 1. Eli's popsicle stopped halfway to his mouth. He didn't look at me. He looked at the house. I stared at Dad. "So my kid doesn't count because he's an only child." Dad exhaled like I was exhausting him. "Don't twist it." "I'm not twisting anything," I said. I could feel my pulse in my throat. My hands were cold. Mark's wife Dana stepped in with the reasonable voice. "It makes sense, though. Mark's carrying so much." Mark nodded along like he was a victim of gravity. "Yeah, it's not personal." Eli wiped his hands on his shorts and whispered Mom. I squeezed his shoulder without looking down. "I'm here." Dad went on like reading a script. "Mark will take over the property. He'll handle it now." "Handle what I asked." Dad frowned. "The house." Mark said I'll fix the back fence finally. I looked at Mark. "Do you know what the property taxes are?" Mark shrugged. "Like a couple grand." Dad said it's fine. Dad's jaw tightened. "Denise." "I'm asking him," I said. Mark lifted his beer. "I'll figure it out." My brain started counting without permission. 1, Dad is lying. 2, Mark is clueless. 3, my kid is watching. 4, I am not going to beg in front of my kid. Dad stepped closer and lowered his voice. "You'll be okay. You've always been okay." That's the cruelest reasonable line he has. Like surviving is the same as being supported. I stared at the front door. I could see my childhood height marks on the inside frame. Faint pencil lines nobody bothered to erase. Then Dad said it again, louder for the porch audience. "He has 3 kids. You only have 1. Something in me went flat. Not rage, not tears, just clarity. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I did the only thing that made sense. I nodded once and said, "Okay." And in my head, I made the decision I'd been avoiding for 15 years. I was done paying for a house I apparently didn't need. I'm Denise. I'm 38. I live in a suburb outside Columbus, Ohio. I'm a project coordinator for a commercial construction company, which is a fancy way of saying I'm paid to track other people's chaos and make it look like a plan. I had Eli at 31. His dad bailed when Eli was a toddler. No drama, no courtroom screaming, just a slow fade and then a new number text. I got used to doing everything alone. I got good at it. Too good. My brother Mark is 41. He's always been the family's solid one. Not because he's actually stable, but because he's loud enough that people mistake noise for strength. He married Dana. They had kids fast. 3 in 6 years. Diapers, minivans were so busy as a personality. My parents loved it. Not the kids as people exactly more like the idea of them. Proof the family was normal. The house is on Hawthorne Street. It's the only house I ever lived in as a kid. My parents bought it in the early 90s. I learned to ride a bike in that driveway. I scraped my knees on that sidewalk. I buried a hamster under the lilac bush in the backyard and cried so hard I threw up. When I moved out for college, I assumed the house would stay the family house forever. Then Dad had his first talk with me. It was 2011. I was 23. I had just graduated and moved back for 6 months to save money. I was on the couch with my laptop when Dad waved a county tax bill in my face like a hall pass. "You know what this is?" he asked. "Taxes," I said. He grunted. "Expensive." Mom did the kitchen thing, clinking dishes loudly, pretending she wasn't listening. Dad sat down and said, "We're behind a little. Just a little. Nothing major." I'd seen just a little before. It meant big enough to scare me. "How behind?" I asked. Dad shrugged. "Few years, you know life." I stared at him. "How do you get behind on property taxes, Dad? They literally send bills." He smiled like I was cute for asking. "You're good with paperwork. Help us out." That was the first time the family language showed up. Help! Help means you pay, they breathe, you shut up. Dad leaned in. "This house will be yours someday," he said. "You're the responsible one." The first time I paid, it was $3,184.22. I remember because I wrote it on the memo line. Hawthorne Property Tax, 2011. Dad watched me print the check like he was watching me prove I loved him. "See," he said, "family helps." I told myself it was temporary. It wasn't. Incident number 1, "it's just this once" loop. 2013. Dad called me at work. "We got the bill again." He said like the bill was a raccoon that kept coming back. "Did you set up an escrow?" I asked. He laughed. "Escrow listened to you." I paid again. $4,671. I logged into the county portal, typed in the parcel number, printed the receipt, and stuck it in a folder. I labeled it House. Eli was a baby then. I was tired and broke and still thought doing the right thing would eventually be rewarded. Incident number 2. Mark learned the pattern. 2016. Mark was behind on his car payment. He showed up at my apartment, sat at my table, and said, "Can you spot me $2,000?" I said no. I said I had daycare costs. He leaned back and smiled. "Come on, you've got it. You're the stable one." The stable one. The one who can absorb hits. When I didn't immediately fold, he called Dad. Dad called me 5 minutes later. "Why are you being difficult?" Dad asked. Because Mark was 31 and couldn't pay his own bills, I thought. But what I said was I can't. Dad sighed dramatically. "Fine, I'll handle it." Then I got a Venmo request from Mark 2 days later anyway, like the conversation never happened. That's when I started noticing how they all moved together. Pressure in a neat little chain. Incident number 3. Eli learned to shrink. 2020. Thanksgiving at my parents'. Eli was 2. He spilled water at the table. Just water, a little puddle. Dad slapped his hand on the table. "Jesus, Denise." Eli froze. His lower lip trembled. He didn't cry. He just went still. I grabbed napkins, apologized automatically, and heard myself say, "He's fine, he's fine." Eli looked at me like he was asking permission to exist. Later that night, while I was putting him to bed in my old room, he whispered, "I be quiet." Okay. That sentence did something to my chest. I'd been swallowing that so long my kid thought silence was safety. I thought it was temporary. It wasn't. The taxes kept coming. The amounts grew. $5,900, $7,100, $9,400. I paid because if I didn't, Dad would lose the house. And if Dad lost the house, the family would blame me for letting it happen. And because Dad kept dangling that line like a carrot. "Someday this will be yours." I never got my name on anything. No deed, no will copy, no trust, no written agreement. Just Dad's voice and my checks. Over 15 years, it totaled $127,000. I knew the exact number because I kept receipts like a person who didn't fully trust her own family but wasn't ready to admit it. After the porch announcement, the pressure started immediately. Wave 1 was the private guilt. Dad texted me that night at 9:02 p.m. "Don't make this ugly. Mark needs it. You'll understand when you have more kids." I stared at that line until my eyes burned. Eli was asleep in the next room. His little sneakers were lined up by the door because he liked order. I opened my house folder. Inside were 15 years of proof. County receipts, payment confirmations, screenshots from the portal, the parcel number highlighted, my bank statements with treasurer in the description. I did the math again, even though I already knew it. $127,000. Wave 2 came with reasonable phone calls. Mom finally called, of course, from her car so she could claim she was out if I got emotional. "Denise," she said soft, "it's not a punishment." "It feels like one," I said. "Mark has responsibilities," she said. "You're more flexible." Flexible, another family word. It means you bend. They don't. I asked one concrete thing. "Mom, did Dad tell Mark I've been paying the property taxes?" Silence. "That's not the point," she said. That was my answer. So I called Mark the next day, not to fight, to confirm the level of delusion. He picked up on the third ring, breathless kids yelling in the background. "Hey sis, he said too cheerful." "Mark," I said, "what's the plan for the property taxes now that it's yours?" He snorted. "It's not mine yet. Dad's doing paperwork. What's the plan? I repeated. He went quiet for half a second, then said, I mean, it can't be that bad. Dad said the taxes are basically nothing. My hands went cold again. Okay, I said. What do you think the annual property taxes are? Like 2-3 grand, he guessed. I stared at my laptop, the county portal open in front of me at the actual numbers. I asked, calm and very specific, do you have the parcel number? No, he said. Why? Because you need to look it up, I said. He laughed. Why are you being weird? Because you're about to inherit a bomb, I thought. But what I said was, I'm not being weird. I'm being clear. Then wave 3 hit, public narrative. Dad sent a message in the family group chat, the one with my aunt's cousins, everyone who likes drama as long as it's not theirs. Excited Mark and Dana will be raising their kids in the Hawthorne house. Big blessing. Proud of my son. The comments poured in. Heart emojis. So happy for you. Perfect. Nobody asked where that left me or Eli. Like we were a footnote. Dana posted a photo on Facebook 2 days later. Her kids on my childhood swing set. Caption, new chapter. I didn't comment. I didn't argue. I started documenting like my life depended on it, because in a way it did. I printed the county ledger that showed the last 15 years of payments. I printed my bank statements that matched each payment. I highlighted my name. I started a spreadsheet. Date, amount, confirmation number, method of payment. And then I did the one thing they didn't expect. I stopped paying. Not as a tantrum. As a boundary. I had autopay set up for the county's online payment portal. I'd set it up years ago because Dad would forget and then call me in a panic. I logged in. I turned it off. I saved the confirmation page. Eli sat at the kitchen table doing homework while I did it. He looked up and said, Are we in trouble? No, I said. We're getting safer. He blinked. How? I kept my voice steady. Sometimes safety is stopping people from taking from us. He nodded like he understood more than I wanted him to. 3 months went by, then 6. Dad didn't notice at first, which told me everything. Mark didn't notice at all, because neither of them had ever been the one to handle it. Then late October, my phone rang. Dad. His voice was sharp before I even said hello. Did you pay the taxes? I stepped into the hallway so Eli wouldn't hear the tone. No, I said. What do you mean, no, Dad snapped. I mean, no, I said. I'm not paying them anymore. Dad's breath hitched like I'd slapped him. You can't just, he started. I can, I said. I did. He tried the reframe immediately. After everything we've done for you, he said. I stared at my wall. The family photos, Eli in his kindergarten cap, just me and him. No grandparents because they never came to the ceremony. I've paid $127,000 in property taxes over 15 years. He went silent. Then he laughed, a small, nasty laugh. That's not true. It is. That's impossible. It's documented. He changed tactics. Well, that was your choice, he said, like I bought an expensive purse for fun. It wasn't, I said. It was survival. And you promised me the house. Dad's voice went colder. I didn't promise anything in writing. There it was. The real Dad. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. I said, then you and Mark can pay it now. He started yelling. I hung up. Then I opened a new folder on my computer. I named it Leon, because I knew what was coming. That's when I stopped arguing and started documenting. The county doesn't care about family politics. The county cares about money. On December 3rd at 2:37 p.m., Mark got a certified letter and called me. Denise, no hello, what the hell is this? It's from the county, he read. Tax lien. Pay $127,000 in 90 days or lose the house. Yeah, I said. That sounds right. What do you mean sounds right? Why is it that much, Mark? I asked. Who do you think has been paying the property taxes for 15 years? Silence. Dad? No. Then who? Me. That's not funny. It's not a joke, I said. I have receipts every year. His voice dropped. Why would you do that? Because I was told it would be mine someday. He swallowed. So what do we do? You pay it. We can't. I didn't have it either, I said. I just did it anyway. His anger swung at me. You did this on purpose. No, I said. I stopped paying when Dad transferred the house to you and told me I didn't need it. That was the boundary. You're going to let my kids lose their house. Your kids aren't losing it because of me, I said. They're losing it because Dad lied to you. Dad said you were fine with it. I said okay, I corrected. I didn't say I'd keep subsidizing it. He whispered, but you have a kid. Yes, I said. That's why I'm not funding yours too. I need proof, he said. Dad will say you're lying. Fine, I said. I'll send it. 1 email. Subject Hawthorne tax payments 2011 to 2025. Attachments. County Leisure Bank statements. Confirmation numbers. My spreadsheet. Total $127,000. Then 1 text to the family group chat. I paid the Hawthorne property taxes for 15 years, $127,000. I stopped when Dad transferred the house to Mark. I have receipts. Do not contact Eli about this. That night, Mark showed up pounding on my door. Eli appeared in the hallway scared. Go back to bed, I told him. Lock your door, now. I opened the front door with the chain on. Mark's eyes were wild. You have to fix this. You need to leave. My kids. Not my responsibility. Dad arrived behind him, finger out. What did you do? I stopped paying. You embarrassed us. You gave away my childhood home and told me my kid counted less because he's an only child. That's not what I said. It is, I said, and it's in writing. Mom showed up crying. Denise, please think of the kids. I am, I said. I'm thinking of mine. Dad said, you're ungrateful. I paid $127,000 to protect your house. You repaid me by giving it away. I'm done. Mark cracked. So you're just going to let it get taken. I'm not paying for a house that isn't mine. The next morning, I called the county treasurer and changed all future notices to Mark's address. No more forwarding. I also emailed a local real estate attorney the receipt packet. I'm not on the deed. I paid taxes for 15 years based on verbal promises. I need advice on reimbursement and protecting my child from harassment. 2 weeks later, my place was quiet because I stopped letting their panic live inside my walls. Then came their last tactic. Gifts. Mom and Dad showed up with snacks and a cheap toy. We just want to move forward, Mom said. We're family. You're here because you want me to pay again, I said. Dad snapped. Don't be like this. Like what I asked. Clear. Mom pleaded. Mark is struggling. Then Mark should talk to a bank or to you. Dad said, you're punishing children. I'm protecting mine, I said. Mom tried again. Just help them this one time. I cut her off gently. I'm not available for that. I repeated it calm and final. Then I closed the door. Later, Eli asked, did we do bad? No, I told him. We did safe. He nodded slowly. The house on Hawthorne Street isn't mine, but neither is the debt anymore. Love doesn't require you to fund disrespect. Access to me is not a family right. Being the responsible one is not a role you owe anyone. It's a trap dressed as a compliment. Denise didn't fail her family. Her family failed her. Loyalty without reciprocity is just exploitation with a familiar face. A child watching you be used learns that love means being used. A child watching you stop learns that love has dignity. My tips for you: get promises in writing. Verbal inheritance is not inheritance, it's leverage. Okay is not consent to continue. Silence after injustice is strategy, not surrender. Protecting your child from dysfunction is parenting even when the dysfunction is grandparents. Stopping is not punishing others. It's simply removing yourself as the solution to problems you didn't create.